In your arms the world becomes something tender, something small enough to cradle in my palms like a dream I dare not let slip away. The noise of duty, the hum of crowds, the soft weight of expectations, all dissolve into the hush of your breath against my neck. I forget that I'm a princess, that kingdoms turn their eyes toward me, because in that nearness I am only a woman made of warmth and wonder. The gold of your eyes rewrites every map I've known, every border I've been told to protect, until I am lost beautifully in a geography of love. The palace walls could crumble, the sky could bend its light differently, and still I would find peace in the rhythm of your heartbeat. It's strange how the vastness of everything folds itself neatly into the space between your arms, how a lifetime of rules finds its rebellion in one quiet touch that feels like home. Sometimes I think the universe planned this, how two paths so distant, marked by fate's cautious pen, could cross in a moment too perfect to belong to chance. I remember that night when the air smelled of rain and jasmine, when I first saw you not as a name whispered in rumor, but as a truth standing beneath the trembling moon. You didn't bow, didn't treat me as something made of marble. Instead, you looked at me as if I were real, as if my pulse were not an echo of the crown, but of something far deeper. I had spent my life learning poise, but you taught me how to breathe. You made silence into music, and every forbidden glance became a language that no guard could translate. I still recall the quiver in my heart that said, "Here begins everything," though the world would call it impossible, yet love has always defied reason. It was born to rewrite impossibilities into vows. Each dawn since has felt like an unspoken promise that time itself cannot erase. When I wake, I carry you like sunlight, quiet, patient, relentless in its devotion. My chambers, filled with ceremony and gold, seem pale compared to the warmth your memory leaves behind. They dress me in silks, crown me with duty, but beneath it all my heart wears only your name. Sometimes when I ride beyond the palace gates, I imagine your laughter carried by the wind, brushing against my cheek as if reminding me that freedom isn't a distant horizon, it's the thought of you. Even when we are apart, I feel you in the smallest moments, in the flutter of curtains, in the sound of a lute string trembling at dusk. The world tells me to forget, to choose crown over feeling, yet what use is rule without the grace of love? You taught me that ruling hearts matters more than ruling lands. There are nights when I stand by the balcony and watch the stars scatter like secrets. I wonder if they too hide love stories forbidden by time. My fingers trace the rail as though it were your hand, my breath weaving through the cool air that tastes faintly of memory. You would laugh if you saw me, this princess pretending to be brave while the night holds her heart hostage. I close my eyes, and there you are, the scent of you clinging to the quiet, like truth that refuses to fade. I remember the feel of your hands, the way they spoke without words, steady and sure, grounding me against the chaos of my own life. The world thinks I stand above it, but only in your embrace do I understand balance. Without you, the crown is only a circle of cold metal, heavy and hollow. With you, even silence feels sacred, even distance feels alive. Sometimes I wonder what you see when you look at me, not the princess, but the woman beneath the lineage and lessons. You see the tremor in my voice when I whisper your name, the way my heart betrays me in its wild rhythm. You see how I long for simplicity, for the quiet things that never make history. Laughter over bread, fingers tracing words on fogged glass, your coat around my shoulders on a chilly evening. You remind me that love doesn't need grandeur, it needs truth. You've never asked for my title, my promise, or my kingdom, only my honesty, and that perhaps is the greatest act of loyalty anyone has ever shown me. You make me believe that affection can exist without expectation, that love, when pure, has no audience. In your gaze, I find permission to be small, human, and unguarded. The days between our meetings stretch like unending corridors, their walls lined with my yearning. Every step echoes with the ache of distance, but I've learned to turn longing into devotion. I write letters I'll never send, words too fragile to survive the eyes of those who guard my life. I seal them in silence, each line a promise whispered to the wind. You are my secret, my rebellion, my sanctuary. And yet there is no shame in this love. It breathes honesty into the corners of my existence where protocol dares not tread. When I kneel at prayers, I do not ask for permission. I ask for courage to love you without fear, to hold this tenderness even if the world calls it treason. For what is faith if not the belief that love is worth every risk? I have learned to worship quietly, not at altars, but in the thought of you. I remember the garden where we first touched, not by accident, but by inevitability. The roses were in bloom, though their beauty dimmed next to the trembling certainty in your eyes. You said my name like it was something you'd been waiting to say your whole life. And in that sound, the centuries seemed to bow. I reached for your hand, and the world stopped being royal or common. It was only ours. I still feel that moment echo in my pulse. It was the kind of stillness that reshapes eternity, that teaches you that one heartbeat shared between two souls can make time irrelevant. Every time I return to that garden, the air remembers. The leaves whisper our secret like prayer beads, counting blessings instead of sins. Sometimes I think love chooses its own sanctuaries, and ours will always be that place where the world paused to watch us begin. When I dream, I often see us walking by the sea, unseen, unguarded, untitled. The tide moves as if keeping our secret, and your hand finds mine without hesitation. There, I am not the daughter of a crown, and you are not the shadow of a secret. We are simply two hearts learning how to exist. The horizon bends softly, as though it too cannot resist our closeness. You tell me stories of places where no one knows our names, and I imagine laughter that doesn't echo through marble halls, but through open fields. I wake from such dreams aching with peace, if such a thing can exist. Because even though I know morning will steal you away, the memory stays, gentle as foam, eternal as the sea's hum. Sometimes I think love is a tide too, returning no matter how far it travels, always finding its way back to the shore of your arms. In your absence, I've learned that memory can be both a balm and a wound. I keep your words close, hidden beneath silken gowns and royal decrees. Each phrase you ever spoke lives within me, shaping how I face the world. When advisors speak of alliances and heirs, I nod politely, though my thoughts drift toward a quieter promise, the one made in your touch, not in ceremony. I am supposed to belong to history, yet my heart insists it belongs to you. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the mirrors of the throne room and see not a ruler, but a girl who fell in love with the idea of forever. And though they call it foolish, I know it is courage. For loving you is not weakness. It is proof that even those born into crowns are human enough to crave warmth.